Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm so sorry that there were so many cancellations and reschedules and all that.
Oh no, you're totally fine.
I'm excited to be here today. How is your day going?
Busy.
Busy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
with me it's like evening right now. So
Okay.
I live
Great,
in the
because you're in
Netherlands.
the Netherlands. That's right. Yeah. What's the temperature there right now?
Uh, I only know how to say it in like Celsius.
Hmm.
So 22.
Okay. I think I kind of have an understanding of what that means in Fahrenheit. Do you need a coat or no?
So,
Like a jacket outside or no?
no,
No? Okay, that makes sense.
it's like perfectly for me.
Okay. I bet that's I bet that's like the 50s or 60s.
Yeah.
That's my guess. I don't know what I'm talking about though. So tell me, I was curious how you originally got into verticals.
um, I learned about it on TikTok.
Mhm.
I just saw like a, how do I say it?
Like an advertisement
Yeah.
or okay.
And yeah, I just clicked on it and the rest is history.
Yeah. And here we are, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's really cool. I'm really appreciative of all the hard work you're doing just to bring like visibility to verticals. I think it's so cool.
Oh, thank you. I do my
Yeah.
best.
Well, you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Um, I always start with like, now since recently I do like a duo introduction, and what I mean with that is that normally I only did like the guest
Mhm.
introducing, but I think it's fun if I tell you also a little bit about me.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah,
do you know
absolutely.
my name, for example?
Sane.
Yeah,
Is that how it's pronounced? Sane?
Sana. Yeah.
Sana? Sana. It's such a pretty name, and I love how it's
Thank you. So yeah, my name is Sana. I am 27 years old. I live in the Netherlands. I have this page since February of this year,
uh-huh.
and I started watching Vertical since last year. So my first one is Pregnant by My Ex's Dad on Real Short.
Uh-huh.
I think that's most of the time my introduction.
Perfect. That's great.
Maybe since I introduced myself, I know who you are, but I think a lot of people don't.
Mhm.
Can you introduce yourself to the ones that are watching?
Yes, absolutely. My name is Juliette Chevelle. I am originally from Texas, but I am based in Los Angeles. I'm an actor both for film and television and for verticals. I've been in the vertical space for about a year and a half now. Kind of at the beginning of 2024 is when I did my first vertical. And yeah, I've been working in the space ever since. I absolutely love it. And I'm excited to be here today.
Can you share a fun fact about yourself to everyone?
Ooh, a fun fact. I love training animals. I'm trained in like horse training through positive reinforcement and also dog training through positive reinforcement. And I taught my dog how to sneeze on command. So whenever she wants a treat, now she comes up to us or she wants to play or really any positive attention, she'll come up and she'll just start sneezing over and over. And so I've had to kind of pull back on that one, but that was really fun. And I loved interacting just with animals and teaching them how to do things from a positive perspective. They learn super, super quick, and it's always so fun.
Oh, that sounds really fun.
Yeah. It's really fun. I got into it when I was a child. I took some classes, and then from there, it was like a really useful skill to know how to train animals just along the way as I've gotten different animals and interacted with them. There's a language that's spoken that all animals understand in terms of like pressure and release, and also reward. And so, no matter the species, it's really fun to see how that language still works, whether it's a dog or a horse or a cat or anything.
Like, do you have a horse yourself?
I do not own a horse. Whenever I ride or train, I use different ranches horses that they
Mm.
have at their ranch or in the stables. But one day, that's the hope. Working towards it.
I love horses a lot.
Yeah. Do you ride at all, or do you interact with them on your daily basis? What's that look like for you?
I did a lot of horse riding when I was a child.
Uh-huh.
Like for I think 15 years of my life, I did
Mhm.
horse riding. But then I moved to a different part of my city, so I couldn't
I see.
do
Yeah.
that anymore. But maybe in the next few weeks I will again.
Yeah. You should. That's so fun. Is there a large like equine community in the Netherlands? Meaning, like, are there a lot of ranches or
Oh, yeah, yeah,
stables
yeah.
or people ride?
Yeah, in my city alone, I think already like 10, 12. I live in a big city. So yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah,
It's like sounds like a dream.
that is a dream of mine. Starting with horse riding again.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be really fun.
Yeah. Correct me on the next question if I'm wrong, but I saw on the internet that you have a swimming background.
Mhm. Yeah, that's correct. So, I was a competitive swimmer for 11 years. I started when I was about 5, just learning how to swim, and then the instructors came to my parents and they said, "She really has potential in this. Would you be interested in putting her in year-round?" And they asked me, and I was like, "Yes, let's do it!" Like, I love swimming. And so, I started year-round swimming at, like, 8 or 9, and was just very into it, had great coaches, great teammates, and was able to excel within that. So I started swimming at like a state level fairly early on in childhood, and then all the way up to right before recruitment for college. I was in the process of getting recruited for college, or like right on the edge of that, and then I sustained a career-ending injury to my collarbone. My collarbone kind of fell apart, so to speak, and so had to pivot. Obviously, that changed all of my plans, my college plans, my life plans, but it made me give me the opportunity to be able to pivot into film and work in verticals and everything I do now. And so I truly believe that it was the path that was meant for me, but the swimming was all training and learning how to be more disciplined and more focused and really commit to something. And those skills from swimming have carried into acting, which I'm very grateful for. So that's my background and then kind of how I got into the film industry.
Yeah, so I had to bring that up.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, now you already kind of answered how you started with
Mhm.
acting.
Yeah. Well, so I got injured and then I had kinda had this waiting period. COVID happened like, right then,
Yeah.
and I feel like everybody was sitting at home going like, "Do I really like my career? Are my plans really what I wanna do?" Like, everybody had this time to process, right? And so, that happened for me, and I was watching a lot of shows, as I'm sure we all were, and I had always wanted to act. That was always something that was, like, burning in my heart, my goal, my desire, like, "Oh, maybe one day." But I was watching all the shows, and it finally got to a point where I went, "I legitimately cannot not try this." And so I was like, "Okay, where do you start?" So I started researching and trying to find out, like, what does the industry look like? How does it operate? How do you get in? How do you break in? How do you audition? What's a headshot? All of these different questions, and started doing my research there. And I was really fortunate to get cast in a feature film very, very quickly. I think it was about 4 months into my acting journey. I'd taken, like, 2 acting classes officially, like, had v z almost practically 0 training, had never been in any production, and I got cast as the lead, the title character of a feature film. And so that was, like, throwing me into the deep end of the pool, so to speak, but it turned out really, really well, and the crew and cast was super supportive, and the film got picked up. It's on Amazon Prime right now. All of it went great, and I was in that process of filming that, and I was just going like, "This is something that I don't think I'm ever going to be able to live without to some capacity," right? I might not, in the future, who knows what's gonna happen, but even if, let's say, I have a family and kids and I'm focused on other things, I'm still gonna probably be, like, putting on little theater shows in my living room with, like, my kids. Like, it's just part of me now.
Can I ask what the name was of your
Film?
future? Was it?
Yeah, it was a feature film. It's a movie. It's called Nova. If you look up Nova and then type in Juliette Chevelle, it should pop up. It's a sci-fi feature film.
Okay. How did you learn about verticals? Did you see it on like a website or somebody that
Yeah.
you knew?
So I think I've heard a lot of actors speak to this where, like, suddenly they just started seeing breakdowns and casting calls for verticals. And I think as an industry and as performers, we kind of went like, what is this? Like, what? And a lot of us were skeptical at first. I was also, but I saw a vertical that it seemed to be a really good message and a really fun storyline to play. And so I submitted for it. I auditioned and I actually ended up booking my first audition. And so I'd never done a vertical before. I didn't know what on earth it was. But I had some friends in LA and I messaged them and they had worked on verticals before. So I was like, "Hey, like, do you know anything about this? Do you have any tips?" And they let me know like, "Oh, yes, 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 this is a vertical. This is how they film," like, and gave me kind of the deets and the breakdown. And I was like, "Okay, cool." So at that time I was living in Austin, Texas. I flew out to Los Angeles, and I worked on that set and it was a great experience. It really truly made me really like invested and interested in where verticals were going just because it was such a great experience, and that was called Sit Down, Be Humble, and that one was the first one I ever did, and it did really well when it came out, and so that was kind of the catalyst that brought me into the vertical space more because I got approached after that to do more, and I was like, "Heck yeah, this is so fun," and you meet such great people, and everybody was just so professional and kind and fun to work with, and I went, I have to do more of these. There's no way I can't.
How many have you done so far, if I can ask that? Do you
I'm
know?
not entirely sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. But you can look at my IMDb and you
I
can
look
find
it
them.
up and I add it in the video.
Yeah, there you go.
What What was your most challenging role or scene that you have done in a vertical?
Yeah. Whew. You know what? I have an answer for this because I told my family one day. I was on set and I was driving home actually from being on set. And they called my mom. I was like, "Hey mom, what's going on?" And I was telling her about my day. And I said, "You will not believe the day I had." And she's like, "What do you mean?" Like, well, I think what people don't understand about acting is even though you have to be so present in the scene, so present with your acting partner, with the context of what's happening in the scene, but you also have to be really good at multitasking and like secretly
Mm.
multitasking because like I could list off what happened that day. And I was like, "Mom, I was keeping the lines in the back of my mind so that I was on book, right? I was trying to be present with my acting partner. I had a cast on one of my feet, so I had to balance and it was like up in the air. It couldn't touch the ground because it was on camera. I'm using like a crutch to balance. I'm crying. This is The Reckoning Takes Flight if you wanna see it.
Yeah.
I'm crying, right? So I'm, like, maintaining and
Mm.
I do it through, like, emotional recall and naturally. So it's not a tear stick burning my eyes. I'm actually, like, in it. I'm processing the emotion. So, like, I'm keeping tears running down my face continuously, but I also have a stunt in this scene, so I know that they're gonna have to push me and I'm gonna have to fall, and when I fall, I have to fall a very specific way to A, be safe, and B, make it play well, right?
Yeah.
And on top of that, I had to, like, grab a prop from somebody before I fell, and on top of that so it's like you layer things on top of each other that you have to keep in your mind, and you don't realize it when you see somebody act, but, like, that's a constant process of going, like there's an order that you're running through in your mind all while being present. So it's like you have to push everything to the back of your mind and pretend it's not there, but let it peek through your subconscious to remind you that, "Hey, like, our this is your cue. Hey, you're gonna have to grab this soon," right? Like, it's almost like living in, like, a video game or a VR headset where, like, you see, like, alerts pop up on your screen, and it's like, "Hey, in 3, 2, 1, you're gonna have to be pushed," and then when you push, right, you have to make sure you do it correctly. So there's all those things that layer on top of it, and those, I think, are the times where it's super, super fun to have to balance all those things and sort through. It's very mentally stimulating, but it's also challenging, and you walk out of those days going like, "Man, like, how did I do that for 12 hours?" You know, because that's how long you're on set and how long
Yeah.
you're on, you know?
That's very interesting for me since I watched that one, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And on top of that, you're keeping track of where the camera is, camera angles and how you're shooting and where your light is. You have to make sure that you're not blocking your light or making a shadow fall on somebody else. So it's not just even acting thoughts, it's technical thoughts about where the camera is and how to do your job within the film industry in a professional way.
Like, was it with that one like one camera or multiple?
Typically, there's an A and B camera for
Mm-hmm.
verticals, at least the ones that I've done. So there's 2 cameras shooting, and you have to like, let's say they're shooting over your shoulder here, right? You have to make sure that you don't lean
No.
because then you're blocking them from being able to see your partner. But they have to be doing the same thing. So you have to be conscious of your space and staying in your space while also being authentic and being in the moment, and, like, you can't be thinking about the camera, but you also have to be thinking about the camera, right?
Yeah, I know what you
Yeah.
mean. With who of your characters did you feel the most connected with?
Mm. Connected with. I will say that in Sit Down, Be Humble, I had a really fun time playing her kind of sardonic, sarcastic mood because she keeps being misunderstood and misjudged. It's a hidden identity story. And instead of responding with anger or frustration, like I think would have been kind of the obvious choice, I chose to go a direction with it where she's kinda like, "Okay, I'm just gonna let you walk into your own trap." And because I was able to go that direction with it, it was really fun to kind of like seep into the sarcasm and just like enjoy the silly moments of the vertical. So that was I'm kind of a sarcastic person. I really love dry humor at times.
Yeah.
I'm not always sarcastic, but I find a lot of fun in sarcasm. And so to get to bring that on screen and play that was really fun for me. But I mean, I love every character for a lot of different reasons, especially when they're very different than I am, because that's where I get to stretch my muscles as an actor and really sink into my Meisner training, really sink into the training that, you know, stretches me and turns me into somebody else for that shoot. I find that really fun and really a good practice, especially with how many verticals get shot and how quick you have to learn the lines and how quick the turnaround is. Being able to like immediately just have the skill where you can hop into a character that's vastly different from you. I always find that to be fun and I always connect with those characters in some way.
And the next are like two questions, but one first. What do you hope to see more in Virgos?
What do I hope to see more of in verticals? I think that it's gonna be really fun to watch the vertical industry expand. I personally know, of quite a few people in Los Angeles who are getting into the vertical space after working for years and years and years in film and television, and so I'm really excited to see where it goes when filmmakers, who are industry pros and have been working for all the different studios and networks and stuff, when they get into verticals, I'm curious what they'll bring to the table. I think that's gonna be really fun to watch. I think that genres are going to expand even more than they have right now. I'm curious, like about vertical reality television, if that's going to become a thing. Like we haven't really seen a lot of that. Real Short did one, but I'm
Yeah.
curious just if that takes off more. I'm curious just about the marriage between you see a lot of verticals that are really big and really unrealistic and really funny because of that. I'm curious if there's going to be verticals that come out that are more grounded a little bit in realism, but still have the big turns, that still have the big surprise moments and, oh no, she said what? Right? Still have that, but are more grounded in like a realistic type of storytelling that you might see in television. So I think that we're going to see a lot of changes in the vertical industry. I'm not entirely sure which ones are going to take off and which ones are going to be kind of left behind for other types of film and TV to take a hold of. But yeah, I'm really excited to see where it goes. What do you think about that? Where do you think what's gonna happen?
um, I think mostly it's gonna grow even bigger than it's already is doing, and I think also the storylines mostly the women are getting abused and things like that.
Mhm.
I think that will change, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully, for sure.
I know from a fan perspective, um, a lot of us want that gone.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with that, and I've been in the position where I've actually turned down quite a few because of that type of content. Just in terms of, like, as a storyteller, I ask myself, like, "Is this story that I'm putting out to the public, to fans, to people, to all different ages, is this something that reflects goodness and how we want to see, society shift? Is this a message that we want to blast through a megaphone, right? And have that out there, or should we challenge ourselves to be making stories that are more glorifying to, goodness and truth and humanity and kindness? Obviously, every story is going to have a
Yeah.
protagonist and an antagonist. Of course, there's going to be adversity that people are facing, but when you kind of start to dip into abuse just for entertainment purposes, that's where I kind of have to ask myself, like, what's my purpose in this? Like, what am I truly doing if I make this film? And so sometimes it's like, it's not worth it. And I haven't been able to work on those projects. But yeah, I definitely agree with you there. And I think there needs to be some reform in terms of like that type of content, because we're speaking to a majority feminine or female audience. And then we're projecting those kind of visuals onto people. And that's just not a good place to be, I don't think.
No.
Yeah.
And I say that because a lot of in my country, bad things happen with a lot of like girls that are like similar girls
Mm-hmm.
to some female leads characters.
Mm-hmm.
So I hate to see that, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's totally understandable.
And also the stories about women that are overweight.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Just not a very good place to be as storytellers, for sure.
I also don't like that because you're how do I say that? Also, that can be people's insecurity because it
Mm-hmm.
is for me. I'm also not the smallest girl,
Mm-hmm.
so that can be really triggering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I can understand that for sure. And I see some that are like there's two kind of types, right? Where
Yeah.
one's that has it puts a woman in that place, but then it's uplifting in the way that it's actually not about where she is in terms of her body image, but it's about, you know, connecting with another person and being kind and those kind of images. And I think there's a few out there that kind of more in that line. But then there's the ones where it's the same setup, but then it's more that she changes, right? That she recovers and she changes her body and she is suddenly seen as hot, or she takes a magic pill, and that is what I think very damaging and triggering for people. And that's not fair.
No, indeed.
Yeah.
From a harder topic to a lighter question.
Mhm.
But what do you like to do when you're not filming?
Ooh, you know, so I have a lot of projects that I work on that aren't necessarily film related, but take up most of my time. So when I'm not filming, like right now, I'm kind of working on writing a vertical. I'm working on developing a platform called Juliet Journal that's kind of an adventure series where I go out and try different things. So I just posted one where I learned from a mechanic how to work on my car, and we worked on it together, and it was kind of had a lesson in it that I learned and that I wanted to share. So you can check that out if you're interested, Juliet Journaled. But there's things like that I really like to do that are still artistically based, still somehow wrapped up in the entertainment industry. But for me, they feel like little mini vacations, because when I'm not filming, I get to run to those things and I like work on it for a little bit, and then I get booked again and I'm on a shoot for another 2 weeks. And then I'm like, okay, I'm done with the shoot. And I run back to my writing or to my filming or editing or whatever it is I'm doing. But in general, I would say, like, I mean, I love surfing. I love horseback riding. I love swimming. There's a lot of things that I love to do, just physically, staying healthy, staying active when I'm not specifically working. But in general, I would say most of my time goes to trying to bring stories into this world that are uplifting and positive and encourage people to think about deeper things and challenge people to maybe be more active or be more thoughtful or that kind of stuff, where you say there's so much content out there and it's a lot of it can be very negative or very almost it invokes jealousy in some sense of the word, right? Where you see other people, what they're posting, and it's like, oh, I want that life. But in terms of like, if I'm an artist and I'm creating art to inspire people and make people think more deeply about life, then I hope that that is going to be in line with empowerment and making people excited about self growth and self improvement and um, thinking more deeply about themselves, reflection, intrapersonal connection, that kind of stuff.
I realized I skipped a question.
Backtrack. Woo.
Yeah, because that was if you, yeah, you just told me that you're writing a vertical. The question is literally about that. If you could
Mhm.
completely create your own, you don't have to say what you're writing, of course, but
Yeah.
like a genre you would like to create if you could
Ooh.
completely create your own.
Mm. I could create my own genre within vertical. I think that historical verticals would go hard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah? Like, what if I mean, I know we have some, like, time traveling verticals or ones that are set maybe a few hundred years ago, but, like, what if you could truly, like, write a vertical and film it, and it's about, the Middle Ages, or it's about, the American Revolution, or, whatever, right? Really any act of history or anything like that. I think that would be really interesting.
Yeah, I agree with that. Mm.
Well, and two, like, there's so much drama that has happened throughout history, world history. There's so many things that you learn in history class and you go, "What? Like, that makes no sense. I would have never expected that. Where did that come from?" And it aligns very well with verticals, but it's actually factual. So there's such a good opportunity there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
What about you? What's a genre that you would want to see?
uh, More horror.
More horror?
Yeah,
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah.
or like I'm into, always down for a good comedy one.
Oh, like a rom-com?
No,
Or
comedy with
just
just a lot of jokes, fun, things like that.
Oh, that would be fun. Like single cam or multicam comedy within a vertical. That'd be really interesting.
Yeah.
Hmm.
How do you prepare for roles?
Hmm. So I'm a Meisner trained actor. So I really like to rely heavily on like emotional prep, and I go into imagination based work in that capacity. So what does that look like in layman's terms? If I receive a script, I read it through. I get a sense of who the character is. I think the more times you can read it, the better, just because you start to kind of absorb the story and absorb the character. But sometimes there's not time for that. So if there's not, I go right into like, what are the markers of this person's story that really make them who they are? Meaning, why are they living in this town? Why are they in this position? Why is their mom sick? Why are they low on money? Like all those different questions that typically or circumstances that you see within verticals. Those are questions for me. And I kind of go through and I fill those out almost like if you're familiar with the film term, a treatment. Basically, it's like an analysis of the story that's just like in paragraph form. I do that, but for the character, like where were they born? What's their family dynamic like? Were both their parents present? If not, how has that shaped them today? Like all of those questions that kind of start to give me timeline points in that person's story, moments of significance. Because if you think about it, most people have kind of moments of significance in their life that has shaped them to be who they are. They remember when they moved to their first city by themselves, or they remember when, something traumatic happened in their family, or they remember the death of that person, or they remember the first time that they, tried strawberry shortcake. Like there's all these things that create a person and make them who they are. And so for me, when I find my character, it's about that. It's about finding those pivotal moments that led to decisions that then shape them into who they are. And that's where I start. And then I go through the script and I kind of think about what are the thoughts that this person is thinking. So when she's having a conversation, let's say with the male lead, and it's more of a romantic conversation, what's she thinking when she's having that conversation? She's saying, like, oh my gosh, he's so hot. Like, how am I going to get out of this? Right. Or is she thinking, like, if he comes close, I'm gonna lose it. Like, because those change the way you respond, right? You saw it just now on my face. There's a difference in energy, and there's a shift based on the thoughts that you're thinking. And all of the time, human beings are thinking thoughts. I mean, you just are, whether it's subconscious or conscious, you're constantly having some sort of, analysis of every situation you're in. So that's what I build on top of is once I have kind of the points of who that person is, then building in, like, in this story specifically, what's she thinking? And then on top of that, sometimes it just kind of depends on how the character is manifesting. It's sometimes going over the lines a lot helps me to get a sense of you keep finding nuggets of who that person is and why they're saying that thing, and that opens the door even more into who they are. Sometimes, it's about rehearsing with your co-stars and because again, they shoot very, very quickly. And so a lot of times you get the character and a couple days later you're rehearsing. So in those rehearsals, going like, okay, oh, I totally see that that's true for your character. What do you see about me? Is there anything that I'm missing? Asking questions, because people have eyes and ears and thoughts and hearts that are different than yours, and they get to have an insight into things that you can't see. So those are just some of the processes I use, but it all comes down to, like, just getting my hands dirty with the character. That's the best way I can put it.
If you could step into any show or movie that's not a vertical, which one?
Hmm. Does it have to be airing right now, or can it be in the past?
Can also be in the past.
In the past? Okay. I would love to step into two things, or maybe 3. The Walking Dead,
Yeah.
that would be really fun. I'm a big fan of, like, FX makeup and of, like, post-apocalyptic/apocalyptic film slash dystopian film, so I think that would be just a blast. Um, I love the first Avatar by James Cameron. I think that that is just a masterpiece in a lot of different instances of the word, world building, plot, language, structure, meaning, depth. So I think it would be so cool to be in that. Um, and I think that Game of Thrones would actually be a cool one, or The Lord of the Rings, or Dune. There's a lot.
Oh, you say only very good shows.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. You have good taste. What same question for you. What kind of shows would you like to be in?
I always say when people ask that to me, I always say the Vampire Diaries
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a really good one. That would be fun.
or Pretty Little Liars.
You know what? I haven't seen Pretty Little I've seen, like, half an episode, but I
Ooh,
I need to watch it, don't
yeah,
I?
it's a very good one.
Okay.
I
I'll
love
write that down on the recommendations list.
it. Yeah, I think those. Mm. If you have to no, wait. Gonna skip a question again. What do people underestimate about verticals, in your opinion?
Mm. That everybody has one, meaning access to one. Like, everybody has the ability like, everybody on this planet almost has a smartphone or access to one. Not everybody, but a huge majority of the population up to this point, and it's only growing. So, with that being said, having access to verticals is extremely easy, and it's a lot easier than going to the movie theater. And we're seeing that with box office statistics and with how quickly the vertical industry is growing. So I think that, I mean, I was talking to a producer on one of the verticals, and he pulled out his phone and he went, "This isn't going away. Everybody has one of these and it's in your pocket."
Yeah.
It's as easy as that, right? That now it's just about, it's not even about reaching an audience. It's just about attention retention. And that's the game now.
Yeah. I am hoping that my friends will do all see this,
Yeah.
because they are more focused on like real television, normal television. I mean,
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I think it's gonna take some time to get there as it kinda spreads and more people become aware of it. I still have conversations with people who, I say, "Oh, yeah, I work in verticals," and they're like, "In what? What's that?" Right? But I know a lot more people now when I say that, they know what I'm talking about. And it's been a shift from a year and a half ago to today. So, I think it's spreading, but I think it's gonna take some time to reach, larger and larger audiences. But when it does, I think there's a lot of opportunity for growth and a lot of opportunity for new stories to be told. Right now, you see studios are remaking a lot of stories because of just where the industry is right now, post strikes, post COVID, post fires in Los Angeles.
yeah,
There's a big emphasis on IP that's already been established. But in verticals, people are more open and willing to invest a little bit of money, comparatively in terms of versus box office films, and bring a new story to the table and see if it works and experiment with it. And that's really exciting as a writer and as an actor to know that you get to work in a space where people are more open-minded to new ideas, new stories, and new storytelling and new aspects of storytelling. That's really exciting.
yeah. If you got to, if you have to recommend a vertical that is one with you and one without you, which
Mm,
one?
okay. Ooh, wow. For mine, I can say that the most recent one I did, um, it's Divorced Wife is a Genius
Oh
Surgeon.
yeah,
One was really fun to film because the character changes a lot. She has a big character arc and kind of a reveal on that in that way. And so I have to recommend that one just because I think it's got a lot to it. There's a she's pregnant, there's a baby, she's a surgeon, there's a company. It's just like there's so much going on in the mix. There's uncles that are going after, my ex-husband, right? They're like there's just so much that happens. And it was a blast to film, and the team in San Antonio that shot that, and Cinema Media, they are fantastic. They're so great at what they do. I gotta give them a shout out. And so, like, that one was for sure my favorite so far, or at least in the recent couple months. In terms of the vertical industry in general, there are so many good ones, that are coming to the surface. I think what would your recommendations be?
yeah. um, who? Uh, Now it will be like Dungeons, the one from Erica
Uh-huh.
and Nicole
Okay.
on Real Short.
I haven't seen that one yet, but I've heard about it. I've heard it's good. People
Yeah.
are liking it.
I- Also a lot of stories on Figlu I really liked.
Mhm. Mhm.
There are a few good ones like Under the Hood.
Mhm.
A vampire one I always forget the title,
Mhm.
and just another few ones.
Yeah. Those are I mean, I've heard great things about. I love Viglo as a platform. I think they're telling really great stories and really really producing quality content, and it's really exciting to see. And
Oh,
then I've
Campus
heard of the
Rifles on Fake Lewis also.
yes, I've heard of that one. Yeah, yeah, with Adam.
And
Yeah.
Crush is another one that I really like. Also, the
What is
view. Crush
I don't think I know that one.
is like about a fangirl that meets her idol.
I may have seen a trailer for that one actually. I do remember something about that had like a Comic-Con kind of
Yeah,
storyline. Yeah, see, there's so many good ones that are in so many different genres. Like, it's so exciting. There's so many different like genres to explore, like you said earlier.
yeah. Fake Lewis is now my favorite app.
Yeah.
It was when I started with this page. My page was called differently first. It was a real short fan first,
Mhm.
but then I learned about new actors and followed them. So I followed also the other apps.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a lot of apps popping up now too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any music favorites that you might listen to if you listen to music?
Ooh. Mm. I love this is kind of some people love it, some people hate it. I love old time country music. So like Paul Overstreet.
Oh yeah.
I'm a fan of Paul Overstreet. Even like modern country, like more Chris Stapleton or Zach Bryan. I just anytime I turn on music and it's one of those guys, I'm just so happy. I'm driving. I'm like, speak it, sing it. I love that kind of stuff because it's talking about like typically very sweet things. You're talking about family, your family roots, or you're talking about loving your country well, loving your children, being there as a neighbor, like enjoying your freedom. Like there's so many just happy, positive vibes rather than some other music that's like very like I'm heartbroken and nothing ever life sucks, like if I'm gonna be listening to something and absorbing something and basically coming into alignment with messages via music. Like I want it to be happy or at least like positive and meaningful. But I do appreciate a lot of different genres of music and I've listened to a lot over the course of my life. Everything from I had a rap phase, I had a indie pop phase, I had a like an R&B phase. Like there's been phases, but this is what I've kind of settled on.
Is there anyone that you would love to work with that you haven't already from the vertical world?
Mm. You know what? I don't have someone specific in mind, but I will say that I really want to have the opportunity to work more with the women in verticals.
Yeah.
Typically, like well, a majority of my friends from verticals are all guys because they're my co-stars or they're even like supportings that are the best man of the male lead, and you bond because you have so much time on set. And I was thinking about it and I was like, when are the girls always getting to get like where are they, and even when you are let's say on set with a girl, normally she's kind of an adversary, right? She's the
Hmm.
mean girl who's trying to steal your man. And I still get to bond with girls in that position too, but I think it'd be really, really cool to kind of have like more verticals that show female best friendship in a way where the best
Yeah.
friend is a lot more present. You see that every once in a while where like the main character has a best friend and she's like in 3 scenes through the whole thing
Yeah.
versus like having like a true buddy or like a true best friend like the guys typically have. But I want to see more of that because like first of all, I think it'd be really interesting just from an audience perspective and getting to watch content like that. But I also think on set personally, kind of selfishly, it'd be really fun to be able to be side by side with some of the other names in the industry, the vertical girls. And really the only times we get together are like at birthday parties or at like events, but it's normally orchestrated by other people. And so we don't
Yeah.
get to actually like interact a lot together just in the wild, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. What's on your bucket list?
Ooh, my bucket list. So I have a lot on my bucket list. I like I like learning and trying new things. Right now, I mentioned Juliet Journaled earlier, and what
Yeah.
I'm doing with that platform is I'm actually going out and trying different bucket list adventures, and then filming it, and then kind of seeing, okay, what lesson or what have I learned from the experience, and then putting it into the reel. And so, like, I just recently was able to fly a plane for the first time because of that. That one will be coming out soon. I got to lead a trail riding for a horseback riding company, and that one I'm making one about that. Um, but I'm hoping to go sailing soon and learn how to sail. And there's some other ideas that I have percolating. I have some friends who are trying to get me to skydive, and Teri's still out on that one. Don't know if that one's gonna happen, but like things like that. I like adventure and trying new things, and really like skills are so interesting as like a brain chemistry, as a like a neural pathway or study of neural pathways, because when you learn something, you're not just learning that skill, you're learning how it transfers to other things. So for example, when you know something about, let's say, swimming, that means you're going to know something about surfing, because a big part of surfing is swimming and water movement, and like, um how water moves. I just said the same thing twice, but you know what I'm saying? Like it's that concept where one thing translates to the next, which then once you know how to surf, you kind of understand more about paddleboarding, right?
Mhm.
And once you know more about paddleboarding, you know more about kayaking. And now that you know more about kayaking, maybe you know a little bit more about whitewater rafting, right? Like it's all, those are all water sports that I listed, but that translates across different industries, across different just experiences and skill sets. So I love checking things off my bucket list because normally it teaches me something about something else that I want to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
What's something on your bucket list?
More traveling.
More what?
Going to other countries.
Oh, okay. What are some countries?
That I would like to go to Spain, Greece,
Ooh.
New York,
Yeah.
LA, of course.
Yeah.
um, like also Atlanta.
Hmm.
I think those.
Yeah. Those are all great ones.
And buy a bigger house. That's
Mm.
also.
That one too. That one should be on my bucket list. I should just buy a house.
I have a little apartment. That's where I am right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm in an apartment too, and I've been having to move all year because of kind of an issue with um, some housing things, mold, to say the least. So been having to move a lot. So I understand your sentiment.
So, okay. People call my couch behind me my podcast couch.
What is it?
Other actors that I spoke with call my
Uh-huh.
couch behind me my podcast couch
Oh, interesting.
because I always sit in front of my couch.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny. It's like getting well known.
Yeah. Um, if you could have any superpowers, which one would you have?
Ooh. You know what? I answer this question every once in a while, and then I'm like, I want to answer all these different superpowers because I say one and then I'm like, wait, but that leaves out XYZ thing. I never know. Um, you know what? This is not traditional, but I think it would be really helpful to have a superpower where you can diffuse tension
Mm.
to allow people to have more conversations and openly communicate. I know that sounds kind of silly and like more
Mm.
intellectual. Like, what if you had the power to like walk into a place where people are having conflict and like diffuse the conflict enough so that they could like come to an agreement? Does that sound silly?
No, no.
Like, because when people get into it and they get into conflict, there's so many pieces of that that become more than just the conflict itself, right? Like pride comes into the mix, or like anger or rage, or like you see these things that are part of the conflict that are just like they're a byproduct, but then they also exacerbate the conflict and they don't actually have much to do with the actual argument that's happening or the conflict that's happening. So I think it would be really cool to be able to come in and like diffuse it enough so that people could recognize that. Um, I also think that being able to dish out emotional intelligence would be really cool. That sounds so weird, but I'm like, that would solve, I feel like a lot of problems. But no, I'm being kind of silly. I think healing people would be pretty cool too.
Um, if you could give your younger self advice, what would it be?
Mm. I was thinking about this today, actually, this morning. Mm, I would say two pieces of advice. One, I'm a person of faith. I'm a believer and follower of Jesus, and I would tell my younger self to really lean into that because every problem that I have had or have or will face was solvable with like pressing into faith and Jesus, but forgiveness and patience and kindness and self control and grace and for all those things. Um, so that's number one. And that, as I did lean into that and have leaned into that, that's completely changed my life in the best ways possible. Um, and that's why I talk about it because I truly have lived that experience. But secondly, I would tell myself that it's very wise to focus on one thing at a time because I've noticed in myself and I've noticed with other creatives and not just people in life. It's really easy to have like a million plates spinning at a time. And while that's helpful in some ways, for myself, I've noticed that I sometimes drop the other plates because I'm trying to hold too much at a time. And instead, what I should really focus on and what I'm learning is really just being present with the thing that I'm doing right now, whether that's completing a task or being there with a person or just eating dinner undistracted, right? Um, if it's a project, if it's a film, just focusing on that and waiting until it's 100% finished before I move to the next thing. Because I noticed that it's easy to go, okay, that's 60% done, that's
Yeah.
85% done. What else is demanding my attention? And then you just have a lot of things that are on the sidelines that aren't finished, but you spent a lot of time on. So that would be my advice to myself is really focus on one thing at a time, have the patience and the discipline to finish it, and then move on to the next thing. And that will bring you way farther than having a bunch of spinning plates that never truly go anywhere.
No, that's true. If you could, if you were stranded on an abandoned island and you only got to take three things with you, which one would you bring?
Mm. I have so many questions. Like, is there cell service on the island? Like, can I bring a phone and call emergency services?
You cannot live
Oh,
there. Maybe I make it easier for you then.
okay, I can't get off the island. Um, hmm. Can I bring my family? Does
Yeah,
that count as one thing?
yeah, of course.
If I'm going down, they're going down with me. um, let's see. What would I bring? I think if we're not talking about survival, we're not talking about getting off the island, we're not talking about eating food, right? And just we're just talking about like what would I do with my time? I think bringing a Bible because so much to study and so much to understand and learn. Bringing some sort of like oh, then it depends on if I could make paper from the palm trees, then I wouldn't need to bring paper. But I'm definitely not gonna be able to find ink, so maybe a pen that doesn't run out. I'm a writer, so that's probably how I would keep myself entertained.
Yeah.
Um, hmm, I would bring maybe oh, there's so many things. This is such a hard question. What the heck? I guess my family. I would loop them in. We're like, you know what? We're you're stuck with me. That is like the worst assortment of things. The combination is like lethal. I don't know. What would you bring? What's
Mm, something to sleep on, like a mattress or
a
something.
good one?
My best friends,
Oh, that's so
and I think like a lighter thing.
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, see, you're focused on like survival.
Yeah.
Over here, like, how would I not get bored? Yeah, huh. Those are good ones. I need to think about that more. You kind of got me.
And then we're already on the last one,
Mm-hmm.
and that I always end with this one, and that is if you want to say something to the viewers who are watching your shows or who are watching our talk right now, or me.
Uh-huh. Oh, wow. Oh, those are all different things. Okay. To the viewers who are watching, thank you so much for being here. Your love and support and attention mean the world. We, as a vertical industry, could not and would not be here without you. So thank you so, so, so much just for your continued support, for all the vertical visibility that's happening. Like what you're doing, what other platforms are doing by uplifting verticals and giving a platform to actresses and filmmakers to talk about verticals. Like you guys are doing great work and you're making this industry into something that's really exciting to be a part of. So thank you for doing that, and thank you all for doing that. And I would say like I'm really excited to hold a high expectation for verticals and where we can go with them. And I would encourage the fans and the fan base and just anybody who likes watching verticals to really think about like how can we as an industry together push for and advocate for stories that are positive and uplifting and just obviously still have antagonists all that but are really like setting a new bar for what it means to be in the vertical space and tell vertical stories because that's going to be a collective thing, right? Like I as a filmmaker and as an actor can do my part, but I on the other hand, like everybody who watches, myself included, have to be demanding and asking for better quality content and pushing the industry and pushing the bar, raising the bar. So that would be my like word of encouragement is continue, advocating for the kind of things that you want to see, because you guys, your voice is going to be what pushes this industry into the spaces where we want it to go.
That's were all the questions.
Awesome. That was so fun. Thank you so much for asking, for having me.
Of
I enjoyed
course.
hearing your perspectives on things, and you're doing such a great job with this. So
Oh, thank
thank you,
you.
and great job. Keep going.
Thank you for joining me and for letting me interview you. I really loved our conversation, and
Thank you so much for asking and for having me, dude. You're awesome.
thank you. Have a good rest of your day, was it? Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye. Mwah.